How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Ayin Zayin, Daf 77 of Masechta Sanhedrin. Friends. Alright, here's the dealio with Daf Ayin Zayin. It's like kind of technical. It's a little tricky. Like it's tricky in the sense that it seems like kind of obvious that there's a lot here. I don't know. It's very detailed. We're just gonna kind of go I don't know. Like it might not be the longest daf or the most difficult daf, but I just feel like it's clear that there's a lot of detail here, important detail here. Anyways, we'll see. Okay, we're gonna start at daf Ayin Vav Amud Beis, about 10 lines from the bottom with the 2 dots. Okay. Ayin Vav Amud Beis, about 10 lines from the bottom with the 2 dots. All of the soicha moim. Okay, so he said that if you basically hold if Shimon holds Ruvain's head underwater, and then Ruvain drowns, so Shimon is chai. Reisha Rabusa Kamashman v'Sefer Rabusa Kamashman. So there's the Reisha and there's the Sefer. The Reisha being when you suppress somebody else's head underwater or in a fire and they die. You're chayiv, and the second one is that if you push somebody into like a pool and they're able to get out, or you push somebody to a fire and they're able to get out but they end up not getting out and dying, so then you're potter. So there's a chiddush in the Reisha and a chiddush in the Sefer. So again, Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalon v'Sefer Rabusa Kamashmalon. Reisha Rabusa Kamashmalon. So the chiddush in the Reisha is that afalgav delav iu dochvoy, that in the Reisha, when he holds the guy's head underwater, even though he's not the one who pushed the guy into the water, but Kevin de ein yochol lalos misham v'meis chayiv. Since, however, it is he who prevented him from being able to leave the water, and basically you're the one who drowned him, so then you're chayiv, or you held his head in the fire. Sefer Abusa Kamash Malon, and the chiddush of the Sefer is Afagav de Dochvo, that even though he did push him into the water or into the fire, but Kevin Diocho Lalos Misham, since he was able to get out, or he should have at least been able, I reckon, to get out, Vames, and he ended up dying, Potter, you are Potter, since at the time that you pushed him, there was no reason to assume that he would die. Okay, fine. Kovaj Minolan. How do we know that suppressing somebody's head underwater or in a fire would be considered murder? The pasuk says, "O be'eva l'rabas esamitzamsim." That when the pasuk says, "O be'eva yiko b'yod v'yamos mosumos," so that's "O be'eva" is coming to include restricting. Excuse me. Why all of a sudden am I so tired? I feel like I shouldn't be this tired. Like, why should I didn't think I would be tired. Interesting. It's coming out of left field. Anyways, it's coming to include if you force somebody into a scenario that they will die in. We're going to now be getting into, I would say, until I think Ayin Zayin Amud Beis, so I guess for the duration of Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph, we're going to be dealing with like different scenarios, I don't know, in which you would be chayiv. Wow, that was extremely vague. But okay, let's just go weiter. Fine. Alright. So basically, I think it means that basically you just lock him outside, no? What is it? Yeah, I don't know. There's no Rashi on this, but yeah, I think basically if it's like boiling hot outside and like the sun is like beaming down, and you lock out your friend's animal outside in the beaming sun, and then it dies because it died in the heat from the beaming sun. So then Ravina Mechayiv, Rav Achabar, Rav Potter. So Ravina says that you're chayiv for that. You're chayiv for the nezek. And Bar Rav says Potter. Ravina Mechayiv. Ravina says Chayiv. Kal v'chomer, because it's a kal v'chomer. Uma rotzeach shaloi asa boy shogeg kemezed v'ones kiratzon chiyav v'osam tzam. Saying, well, if when it comes to murder, So by murder, if Shimon murders Ruvain, so it matters if it was intentional or if it was by accident or if it was be'ones, right? If it's intentional, he's chayev, he slice off his head. If it was by accident, he goes to Nir Miklat. If it was ones, so then he's potter. So it depends, and yet, even though when it comes to murder, there are distinctions, there are scenarios where you be potter for murder. And yet, mitzamtzem is considered a type of murder. So nizakin, when it comes to damages, which is more stringent, that you're right? Adam muad la'olam, bein b'shogeg, bein b'mez, bein b'onus, bein b'rotzim, you're always going to be chayiv for damages. So nizakin should also boy and shogeg kimez ivoni kurotzin enu din shechayiv boy and mitzamtzim. So then certainly mitzamtzim should be chayiv by nizikin. And therefore, if you lock out your friend's animal and it dies in the sun, by the beaming sun, so you will certainly be chayiv for that, because you're forcing the animal into a place where there is an active, right, thing that is devar hariga, as Rashi says. Let's just go a shtickle further. Rav Achabar Rav Poter. Rav Achabar Rav says that you're potter from mitzamtzem by animals. Omer of Meshasha, my taima. Davua, the Abba of Meshasha says, what's pshat with my grandfather? I guess his grandfather was Achabar Rav. The Potu says Potu Amrukah, because the pasuk says, right, that same pasuk that says O be'eva yiko biyado vayamos mosyumos. So that same pasuk, and O be'eva we said is coming to include mitzamtzem. It says at the end of the pasuk, where we mosyumas amake rotzeachu. It says vayamos mosyumas amake rotzeachu. So says the Gemara, mosyumas amake rotzeachu berotzeachu dechiev lan mitzamtzem. Benizakin lechiev lan mitzamtzem. That mitzamtzem is an issue when it comes to murder, but not by nizikin, not by damages, right? Because it says mosyumas hamake rotzeach. Specifically for ritzicha is where, by murder is where mitzamtzem is a thing, but by nizikin mitzamtzem isn't a thing. Okay, fine. Let's go a shtickle further in defining mitzamtzem, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Rava says, Rava kfasoy vames bara of potter. Okay, so if you just tie a person up outside, and then ultimately he ends up dying over time because he has no food, so you're potter for that. Rava, and says Rava, kfaso becham of vames, betzin of vames chai. But if you tie a person up and he's stuck and he can't move, and the sun is beaming on him, or if it's like freezing cold outside, and I guess the cold is like colding on him, so then he's going to be chayiv. Let's keep on going a little bit more. I told you it's going to be like very technical stuff, and like it's clear that there's a lot of important distinctions over here, but let's like keep on going a little bit further, and then we'll talk. Sof chamalavo, sof tzina potter. Now if he ties him up outside and it's not yet, he ties him up in the morning and the weather is good, only in the afternoon the sun's going to come out and kill him, or in the morning it's warm or whatever, or during the day let's say it's warm, but at night it's going to get freezing cold, and then the freezing cold comes out and kills him, potter. If it's eventual, then he's potter. From Rav says, Rav kfaso lifnei ari potter. I think what this means is that if you have a guy who's like in a lion's den, so he's already dead. You're in a den with a lion. I mean, the lion's going to find you, he's going to kill you. So then somebody goes and ties him up. Well, the guy was already, he was already a dead man, so tying him up didn't really make a difference, potter. Lifnei yitushin chai, but if you tie a guy up in front of mosquitoes, so then you are chai, because if you wouldn't have tied him up, so he would have been able to shoo them away. But now that you tied him up, the mosquitoes are going to bite him to death, so you're chai for that. Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi, afilu lifnei yitushin ami potter, even if you tie him up in front of the mosquitoes, you're potter, because hani aziv ani asu, because the mosquitoes are going to fly away and other mosquitoes are going to come, so the mosquitoes that you tied him up in front of aren't actually the mosquitoes that killed him. Okay. Or even before we take a step back, let's read a Rashi, a very important Rashi together. Rashi kfaso vames barav. It's like the first thin line of Rashi. So in the case, so this is the case, and this is very important. In the case, so we had said, Rava says that if you tie up a person outside and the weather's good, everything's cool. So, right now he's okay, but eventually he's simply over time he's going to starve to death. But at the time that you tied him up, there was no, says Rashi, the b'shashek kfaso, at the time that you tied him up, ein kan dvar hariga. That's from, I don't know, the way I'm understanding it, like that's the key word. There's no dvar hariga. There is nothing there right now that is going to kill him. There's no lion there. There's no sun beaming down on him. Right? I don't know. There's no. He's not. He's not in underwater where he can't breathe, and they're basically surrounded by water, which will kill him if he brings it in, right? Or his head is in fire, and the fire is going to burn him, right? Right. These are all devar harigas, whether it's the fire, whether it's the water, whether it's the sun, whether it's a lion. When you just tie up a person outside and there's no sun beaming on him, it's pleasant outside. Well, then, right? There's no ein kan devar hariga. There's no devar hariga. And the hunger just will come over time, and it gets stronger and stronger over time. And it's not like if you hold him underwater or in fire where the dvar hariga is right there. The fire, the water is going to kill him. You're putting him in a scenario where there's something that's going to kill him, so you're going to be chayav for that. So that being said, I think we can now kind of understand these scenarios, right? Right, with the scenario where you lock the animal outside and the sun is beaming down on him, so there's the sun. Or if you force somebody underwater and now he's surrounded by water, which will kill him, or surrounded by fire, which will kill him, right? But if you just tie him up and leave him outside and it's pleasant, so then you're going to be potter, because right now, at the time you tie him up, there's no dvar hariga there. Also, if you tie him up and there's no dvar hariga, and later on the sun's going to come out, we also said that he's potter. Now, we said if he's in a place where there's a lion, well, then the lion's he's already a dead man because of the lion. So if you tie him up there, you're going to be potter because he's already a dead man. But if you tie him up and pull out a lion, well, then you'll be chayiv, because then that's actually interesting. If you tie him up in front of the lion, well, yeah, I mean, the point is that the lion's already gonna kind of kill him. Yeah. I guess if you tie him up and chuck him in front of a lion, or or I guess force him into a lion's den or something, you'll be chayiv. Okay. All right, where are we? So Idmar was stated, Kofa olive gigis. Okay, so now if you take a vat and you overturn a vat over him, Ufara olive maziva, or if he's in a house and you open up the roof, you put a hole in the roof, and now it's gonna get freezing cold. Rav of Reb Zera, Machlokes Rav and Reb Zera, Chadomer Chayiv, Chadomer Potter. One says Chayiv, one says Potter. It's time the Ravu, the Amar Potter. Well, let's say that it's Ravu who says Potter, because after all, the Amar Rav Kfosov Amez Barav Potter, right? Rava says that if you tie a person up and he dies eventually from starvation, he's going to be Potter. So here also, you put him into you overturn a vat over him, and he can't get out, but he's not going to die right away. Over time, he'll die eventually. So therefore, he's Potter. The Amar Rav is Rav Potter. Adrabah, no fakir. This time the Abzeru the Amar Potter. And I'll say it's Abzeru says Potter. How come? The Abzeru, because Abzeru says Ayman the Aile Lechave bebesid the Shisha, that if a person puts his friend in a house made of marble. Assume we're talking about a small little enclosure made of marble, which is not very breathable. It's stone, not allowed to get in or out. And then you light a candle of a mace, and then he ended up suffocating. Chayv. So time of the adlik le shraga. So we say that why is he chayv? Because he lit a candle in this marble room. Hello adlik le shraga. But if he didn't light a candle, then he would not be chayv. It would be potter. So we want to argue that Reb Zer would say that in this vat without the candle he would be potter. And we also want to say that Rava says potter. So one of them says potter, one of them says chayv. Trying to figure out who says potter, who says chayv. So Amri also below shaga lo masril hava. We say no. The reason why by the marble house, so there you actually need the candle, because without the candle you'd be potter, because there wouldn't be kind of a suffocating environment without the candle. However, b'shaite ha'acha below shaga nami masril avla b'shaite. But however, over here, even without the candle. However, over here, even without the candle in the vat, it's already kind of a suffocating thing, and therefore Reb Zer would say that you'd be chayiv in that case, but Rava, I guess, would still say that you'd be potter, because I guess it would still be over time that you would die. Okay, very interesting and very technical and important stuff. I mean, do you get what I'm saying? It's really technical, what's the dvar hariga? Is it there? Is it not there? If it comes eventually, it's there's a lot there. Which maybe explains why there's so much Tosfos, but All right. And Chaver, it's getting more. It's just gonna be a very technical daf, Chaver. It's gonna be a very. There's more. There's more. Rava says, Rav dachva labor. If you push somebody into a pit, v'sulam babor. Now, at the time that you push him into the pit, there's a ladder there, and he can get out. And I guess the assumption is that pushing somebody into a pit. It sounds. I don't know. I'm assuming that it's considered like a dvar hariga kind of thing. Because if not, why should it be any different than like kfas of a meiz barav, right? So I guess it must be that a pit is already kilu. You're in an environment that's going to kill you. But at the time they pushed the guy in the pit, there was a ladder there, and he can get out. But then somebody else took away the ladder. Even if he removes the ladder before the guy lands there, potter. Because at the time that he pushed him, there was still the ladder there, and he would have been able to get out, and therefore he's potter. Rava says, Rava zarek bo chetz v'tiz biyado. If Shimon shoots an arrow at Reuven, but Reuven at the time has a shield, but somebody else then took away the shield, or even if he took away the shield before the arrow hit him, because at the time that Shimon shot the arrow, there was a shield that was going to block it, and therefore he's potter for shooting the arrow. From Ravan says, Ravi, Zarek bo chetz v'samanu biyado. Okay, if Shimon shoots an arrow at Reuven and it's going to hit Reuven, but Reuven has medicine, so yeah, it's like going to be super annoying. He's going to get hit by an arrow, but he has medicine. He'll be able. It won't be mortal. He'll be able. He'll survive. But then somebody else goes and like dumps his medicine on the floor. So who called him? Even if Shimon then goes and dumps the medicine on the floor, because he's still, Shimon is part because at the time that he shot the arrow at Reuven would have been able to heal himself, would have been able to put on medicine and survive. Ravashi says, based on this approach, even if there's medicine, right, there's the pharmacy that's open, and he could always just go to the pharmacy and get what he needs to survive. That would also, right, then also Shimon there would also be potter because Reuven would be able to heal himself. He says, what if at the time that Shimon shot the arrow at Reuven, there were no medicines? Okay, so then Shimon would be chayav. But then, all of a sudden, they got medicines at the store. The pharmacy got the medicine that was needed. Also, so Reuven could then save himself. But he didn't do that. He died. So what do we say? Do we say, well, since Shimon, at the time that Shimon shot the arrow, there were no medicines, so Shimon is chayav? Or do we say that since medicines later came, Shimon is potter? Omalei, so Rav Ashi responds, Hare, Yatzim Bezdin Zakeh. Look, if at some point there were medicines, well then at that point Shimon becomes potter, and that's that. He remains potter. From Ravan says, Rav Zar Tzor Bakosel. If Shimon throws a rock or a ball against the wall and it bounces back from the wall, and kills somebody, chayav. Because that's your koach, right? That's your, right? Just like if you throw this rock directly at somebody, or this ball directly at somebody and it kills them, you'd be chayiv. So also if you throw it and it deflects off the wall and hits them, you're also chayiv. V'tanatuna, and our Tana teaches, kigon elo masachim b'koder, like these kids that play with the ball, shehargu b'mezid narogin b'shogeg golin. That if they're playing with the ball and they throw it off the wall and it hits somebody and kills them, if it was intentional, if it was deliberate, so then it's murder, and we slice off your head. B'shogeg, by accident, golin, you go to near miklat. B'shogeg golin pshita, obviously if it's by accident, you go to near miklat. B'mezid narogin, it's tzrichale, yeah, but the chiddush is that if it was intentional, if it was deliberate, then you chayav misa, we slice off your head. Ma'ud I may have thought asra sofeki mi'emer dehadra. Well, I may have thought that, well, in order to slice off his head, you would have had to warn him, like, hey, if you kill him, you're going to slice off your head. But maybe it's asra sofek. Maybe it's not a definitive hasra, because, well, how do you know that it's going to bounce back and kill the guy? So kamash malan. Therefore, it's teaching us that take. it would be a definitive warning, and you would be chayiv misa for that. Tonu Rav Tachlifa bar Mayrove Kamei de Rababo. Rav Tachlifa bar Mayrove top for Rababo. Kigon Ela Masachim Bekadu, like these kids that are playing with a ball. Shahargu, that they killed, that they, somebody threw a ball and it bounced off the wall and killed somebody. Toch arba amis potter chutz arba amis chayiv. Interesting. If the victim was within 4 amis of the wall, so the thrower is potter. If the victim was further away than 4 amis of the wall, then the thrower is chayiv. Ravina says to Ravashi, I don't understand. If he wanted the ball to bounce off the wall, then I don't care where the victim was standing. If he was less than 4 amas, more than 4 amas, the intention was for the ball to deflect off the wall, which it did, and it killed the guy. He should be chayiv no matter where the victim is standing. And if he didn't want the ball to bounce off the wall, well then afilu tuvanami lo. Well then even if he's far away, he should be potter. Right? We said if he's far away, he's chayiv, but if the intention was for the ball not to bounce off the wall, well then I don't care where the victim is standing, the thrower should be potter. Amalei. So Ravashi responds, look, stamasachkim bekoder kamada azle mine menach nichalei. Well, the thing is, in order for in order to be chayiv, you have to have niskayim machshavto. For example, if you intended to throw something 2 amis and it went 4 amis and killed somebody, you're potter because it's not what you intended to do. And most people who throw a ball to bounce off a wall, they intend for it to go far. They don't intend to go less than 4 amis. Therefore, if the person's within 4 amis, well, then it's lo niskayim machshavto because he intended it to go far and it didn't go far. It killed the guy within 4, less than 4 amis. So therefore, he's going to be potter because it's low niskayim machshavto. But if it goes 4 amas, well, then that was what he intended for it to go to at least 4 amas, and the guy died. Then he's going to be chayiv. In fact, the Gemara But 1 second, we've just been talking about that if you throw a ball and it deflects off of a wall, bounces off of a wall and kills somebody, you're chayiv for that. You're responsible for that. Really? Is that to say that when it bounces off the wall like this, it's your koach and your chayiv? Viramini, but we have a contradiction. Makadesh. If somebody is, right, so to make efer, right, mechatos, right, the waters that you sprinkle on a person who's to meis, so you have maim chayim, you have spring water, and you put ash into it. And you have to drop the ash directly into the water. Now, makadesh v'nofel kiddush ayodo, but if the ash falls on his hand, and then bounces into the water, or al atzad, or on the side of the vessel, and then bounces into the water, and then falls into the water, posel. So it sounds like when it bounces off something, it's no longer considered your koach. No, it's talking about where it stopped on your hand and then plopped into the water, or stopped on the wall of the vessel and then plopped into the water, but didn't bounce off. Bouncing off would still be your koach, but kind of stopping and plopping, nisht. Okay, so let's say you have a needle that is tmei meis and you want to purify it. So you take mechatas and you drip it onto the water, onto the needle. So now so if you have this needle that was tamei and it was on a piece of pottery, and you sprinkled onto the needle. Sofik ala machat hiza, but you're not sure. Did the mechatas go on the needle? Sofik ala cheres hiza umitza aleh, or we're not sure. Did it go directly on the needle, or did it hit the vessel and then bounce onto the needle? So we say as also psula. We say that the sprinkling is possible. It does not work. But why? Who cares? Either it went directly on the needle, which is good. Or if we're saying that bouncing off of something is still considered your koach, so what if it bounced off of the cheres and then onto the needle? That's also fine. So why are we saying pasul? Bar Yehuda Mishmei Derav Motza Itmar. Well, it doesn't say, it's not mitzvah that it bounced off of the vessel onto the needle. No, rather motza. You found the water on the needle and you don't know, did the water land directly on the needle? Did it hit the vessel and then bounce onto the needle? Both of which scenarios would be fine. Or did it hit the vessel and then just kind of it was on a slant and then just kind of dripped onto the, just kind of rolled onto the needle, which would not be okay. And because we don't know, therefore it's possible. Omer Papa says, Papa Aimandi kafte lechavre ve'ashkil ole bidko demaya. Okay, so what if you have like a channel of water, okay, and you tie your friend up right outside the channel of water, but then you like dig, you like break down the wall of the channel, and now the water gushes out of the channel onto your friend and drowns him to death. So you mamish, you like by digging out the wall, the water just gushed onto your friend and killed him directly. So it's his arrows. It's the same thing as basically as if you shot an arrow at him. You're chayiv, right? You moved away the wall so that the water falls directly on him and kills him. Chayiv. But that's if the water goes directly onto the guy and kills him. But if the water, if he was far away from the channel and then the water had to travel a distance to get to him, so then he would be potter, which is considered grama kilu. Okay, you remove the wall and then later on the water killed him, is considered disconnected. V'amar Papa says, our Papa Zark, swore l'mayla v'alchol etstadin v'harga chayav. Om the maber of Ashila, Papa, my time from the kochu, ikochu tezel leel, vilav kochu tezel lesochas, ela koyach kochush hu. Okay. Alright. Here's the thing, Chevr. So here we're talking about where a guy, throws up a stone and then it lands and kills somebody. So here's the thing. If somebody throws a stone directly up at a 90-degree angle and it comes directly down and it lands in the same spot that he threw it up from, well then your koach is basically going upwards, but at a certain point gravity overpowers your koach and then gravity takes over. So if the stone goes right up and then right down, you would be potter, because when the stone lands on somebody, it's not your koach that is killing the person, it's gravity, right? At a certain point, your koach ran out, your force ran out, and gravity took over, and gravity threw it back down and killed the person. You should be potter for that. We're saying, though, that if you threw a rock up and it went to the side and killed somebody, you're chayiv. So the question is, why are you chayiv? Okay, so here's the thing. So in that case, there's basically two things at play. There's your koach, you're throwing it up. Well, you're throwing it in two directions. You're throwing it up, and you're also throwing it to the side. So in terms of the upward force, well, eventually gravity is overpowering that and sending it back down. But your horizontal force is still coming from you. So therefore, when it lands, you're chayiv, because even though gravity is pulling it down, it's still your horizontal force that, right, there's still some of your horizontal force that's still there and propelling it horizontally, and therefore, because some of your force is still there, that is why you're chayiv. Let's read it inside. V'amar Papa says, a Papa, Zorak tzur l'mayla, if a person throws a rock above, v'alchol etzadin, but then it goes off to the sides, v'harga, and it kills somebody, chayiv. Or the my bravashi, a Papa, my bravashi says, a Papa, my time, why are you chayiv though? Mishum de kochahu? Why are you chayiv? Because it's your koach, it's coming from you, it's your strength that's killing the person, but I kocho teze le'el. But I don't understand. If he's throwing it upwards, well then if it was still his koach, it should still be going upwards. From the fact that it's going downwards means that gravity took over, so why is he chayiv? It's gravity that's killing the guy, not him. To which your Papa responds, V'ilav kocho hu tezel l'sochas, V'ilav kocho tezel l'sochas. Yeah, but if it wasn't his koach, meaning if we're just talking about that, if you're just talking about the upward force, well then, if we're just talking about going up and down, then it should come straight back down in the direction that he threw it. If you, right, just throw it up and then it comes right back down, then that's gravity. But here it's going to the side, which means that ela koach kochashu, which means that no, there's still some of his koach, which is propelling it horizontally, right, sideways, and because there's still some of his koach that is killing the victim, therefore he is chayiv for that. Chevre, that was daf ein zayin of Masechta Sanhedrin. Wow, it was a super technical daf. I feel like there's like a lot of, it just feels like the kind of thing that is there's a lot of nafkaminas and really nailing down how exactly to understand these concepts. At what point you're chayiv, at what point you're not. What's considered, I don't know, what, when you tie him up, in this case you're chayiv, in that case you're potter. Rashi had talked about this concept of dvar hariga, that if you basically put somebody into a scenario where there is something there that will actively kill him, so then you're chayiv, but if it's only going to come later on, then you would be potter. Very kind of interesting things. At the end there, we talked about an interesting thing about throwing something up, and then gravity. That was pretty interesting. And then deflections and what's considered coming from you, what's considered not coming from you, throwing it off of a wall is considered coming from you. Very, very interesting things here on Daf Ayin Zayin of Masechta Sanhedrin. Peace out.